My name is Dwight Lundstrom. I'm the Assistant Superintendent. And I'd also like to introduce to you Miss Samantha Wade. She is our kindergarten teacher extraordinaire that's joining us this afternoon for this second annual virtual kindergarten orientation. So without further ado, we have a slideshow that we're going to go through with you to talk about what to expect with kindergarten for this next year and how to prepare for it. So there's our slides. So welcome to our 2021-22 kindergarten orientation. Like I said earlier, this is our second virtual event. So unfortunately, due to the COVID conditions, we're not able to host you in person, but hopefully we can give you the information you need and desire to be prepared for kindergarten starting in the fall. So we have the opportunity to welcome your beautiful kids to school, and they are the class of 2034. So if you've done the math to figure out how old you're going to be when they graduate, you might be a little worried, but it's super exciting time for you, and man, does it go fast. My three kids went to school for Oak Harbor. They went to all three of them graduated from Oak Harbor High School, and I have a picture here of my daughter on her first day of kindergarten, and it goes so fast because then I also have a picture of her at graduation time for the paper toss. So in the bottom left corner, Oak Harbor High School hosts an annual event where all the kids take the papers from their high school years and throw them in the air and have a good time. And those girls that my daughter is with are kids that she was in preschool and kindergarten with. So those are lifelong friends. And then she is already a graduate of Washington State University. So proud of her. And apparently she knew something was up because she was wearing crimson and white right from the beginning. So with that being said, we're going to talk about online enrollment. It's now available. As you prepare for online enrollment, the sooner you can do that, the better it is for us so that we can prepare for your children in the fall. Documents you're going to need to be able to upload when you're doing online enrollment are the birth certificate. You're going to need a verification of address. And in our website, it'll explain what documents will work for verification. You'll need immunization records. And then we will need to know any medical information for your kids. So if your child has a life-threatening condition or they need an EpiPen, they're allergic to bee stings or possibly allergic to have food allergies, we need to know that, and our nurses will work up an individual health plan for your child to make sure they're safe when they're at school. So on our website, you will be able to find an FAQ for kindergarten frequently asked questions. You'll find a calendar with important dates on that. You'll find the start of school, the end of school, when Christmas holiday is, when spring break is, and hopefully other school events. And then there's also an enrollment guide that'll help answer questions for you as you enroll your child in Oak Harbor Public Schools. So you can get to all these tools by going to ohsd.net to get to our homepage on our website. And that is not the current banner that you will see on our website. But once you're at our website, when you slide down the page, so you don't have to switch pages, just slide down the page, you'll get to a Find It Fast section. And in this Find It Fast section, the place that you're going to want to begin your venture into Oak Harbor Public Schools is on the Enrollment tab. So on the Enrollment tab, you'll click that. And once you do that, you will slide down that page, and you will find in there two tabs. One is for new family enrollment, and one is for existing family enrollment. So if you're a new family to Oak Harbor, so if you've either just moved here or your kindergartner is your oldest child and will be the first time in our public school system here, You will click on that and it'll take you to this page, which will lead you through the questions that we need to have answered to enroll your child into kindergarten for the fall. The other thing to know about this site is that if you can't complete it in one sitting, it'll save. You can come back to it and complete it at a later time. If you have older children or that are already enrolled in the district, you're an existing family, you'll click on that tab and it'll take you to a website called Skyward, which hopefully you're accustomed to. That's where you would find grades for your other children. That's where we have family information, food service information, all those kinds of things. This is a commonly used site once your kids are in school. If your child is at Hand in Hand Early Learning Center, if they're already enrolled there, there's no enrollment needed. We already know they're in the system and we're working on placing them appropriately, even as I speak. And then if your family is, if you have a Head Start child, you will need to enroll in on our online system since they are not currently part of Oak Harbor Public Schools. So the other thing in the enrollment page that we want to make sure you understand is that we have a boundary map. I believe that's what we're talking about right now. Yes. And in the boundary map, you can click on that to figure out what your home school is if you're not sure. And some of our boundaries in the community of Oak Harbor are a little bit funky because our schools are so closely placed together. But use that boundary map to help you find which school you should be enrolling in. The other thing that may happen is you look at the boundary map, you might be expecting to be in one school and you're in another, and you can request an in-district transfer. And when you go through that process, you'll fill that paperwork out asking for an in-district transfer. And you won't get notice of the transfer acceptance until mid to late August, because what we do is we place all the students that are in that boundary first, and then if there's space in the school, we honor the in-district transfers. And typically in most years, we've been able to honor 100% of our in-district transfers. When you're considering an in-district transfer, we always like to plug Oak Harbor Elementary School. So Oak Harbor Elementary School is our school of choice. It is the home of our highly capable program. It is the home of our Access program, which is a program that serves students with autism. It is also, their social emotional learning program is the Leader in Me. And they also are a school with uniforms. And the really cool thing about uniforms, when you first think uniforms, I don't want my child to have to wear a uniform, is if you want to save a lot of arguments because you know what they're going to have to wear every day, they're going to wear khaki pants or a skirt, and they're going to wear a blue shirt or a green shirt. So it makes getting dressed in the morning a whole lot easier. But the Leader in Me program is adapted from Franklin Covey's Highly Effective Habits. And it has 7 habits for highly effective people, and the kids learn those, and they have themes of the week, and they spend a whole lot of time learning how to manage their own lives with these habits. So it's a program that's gotten rave reviews from the families that have been involved with it, and our kids really seem to enjoy it. And the staff this will be going into our 3rd year. They are such strong believers in this program, they want to continue after the 3rd year. So the other thing that you're going to want to do, and you're not going to want to do this until late August or right before school, is go to transportation. That'll tell you when it's time. You'll type in your address and it'll tell you what bus your child will ride to and from school. It'll tell what time where the bus stop is and what time the bus will arrive. But that won't happen until right before school. So don't look now because it won't be there. The other thing we'd like to talk about is our mobile app. We have a mobile app that you can download through either Google Play or the Apple App Store. And what the mobile app does is it links you quickly to Skyward, to our news feeds from week to week, and meal service, all the services that we have. It's a quick way to get messages from school and see the things that are happening for your child. And you can like their individual school to see their communications. It's really a helpful application for your phone. The other thing that we work really hard at is communicating back to you. So we use Facebook regularly. So we would ask that you like Oak Harbor Public Schools. We use text in emergency situations. We use phone calls. We email. So be prepared, because we are doing our very best to communicate with you. And in a year like this one, we've done a lot of communication because school has changed so often, so differently throughout our school year. So the other thing to know is when you come to our schools, we have free public Wi-Fi for all. So all you have to do is accept when you get to our schools. So when you're in public spaces, like if you go to a basketball game at the high school, you can get Wi-Fi there. If you're out in our parking lots, often our Wi-Fi reaches into the parking lots. And we actually have had kids and families accessing our Wi-Fi through the pandemic so that they have access to their learning materials when they were in distance learning. So that's available to you. So next, I'd like to introduce our principal family. So Jenny Hunt is our principal at Broadview. So that is a face you will see if you attend Broadview. And then Crescent Harbor, our principal is Kate Valenzuela, and she is actually the principal of Samantha Wade, who is here with us to answer questions here in just a moment. And we'd like to welcome back Paula Seaman. She's been on a leave of absence this year, and she'll be back in the fall, and we're so excited to have her back with us. And then for Oak Harbor Elementary, we have Miss Dorothy Day. And finally, for Olympic View, we have Sarah Lucero. So that is our elementary principal team. And now we're going to start talking about our kindergartners. So the question is, what about masks? So right now, the Washington Department of Health, Island County Public Health, CDC are all requiring schools to have students in masks. And so for now, we believe our guidance will be in the foreseeable future that our students will be in masks until we have some sort of more vaccination. We're going to follow the guidance. And so I guess my question then is, I have Samantha on the line with me, is Samantha, how have masks gone for our kindergartners? How's it worked out?
Yeah, so our kindergartners have been so resilient this year, and I think for them, this is just sort of the norm. So the kindergartners have really taken the masks in stride, and we haven't had hardly any issues. It helps that we have time for breaks throughout our day. They don't have to wear masks when we're eating lunch. They don't have to wear masks when we're eating snack. We have them safely distanced in the classroom for us to be able to do that. And we also have had the privilege of having paras in the classroom this year that have been able to take students out to have mask breaks if they just need a moment of relief or they need to take a lap around the school. We've been able to give them those breaks as well.
Great. So they've done well.
Oh, yeah.
So school starts September 7th through 9th. We have what we call connection days. And then our first day of instruction is September 10th. Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about what those connection days look like?
Yeah, so those connection days are just days where the families and the students, they get to come in and they get to meet their teacher. The students get to see their new classroom for the first time. They get to see where they sit. They get to see where their cubbies are going to be, where they get to hang their backpack and their jackets. And it really helps the students feel more confident on that first day of school because they know what they're walking into. They know what to expect, and we get to start building that relationship with the student. But it's also really important that we get to meet the families too, because we start to make that connection with the parents or whoever the grownups are that are in charge of that child. And that helps keep that communication open all year long.
Yeah, so everything I heard about our connection days this last fall, because we did it a little differently than we had, was number one, I hear there were fewer tears. And number two, I hear that the family connections were so much stronger.
Oh, yeah. We had hardly any tears this year. It was incredible. The students all felt super comfortable, super confident. It was an excellent start of the year.
Thank you. So, typical day in the life of a kindergartner, what does that look like? I know they have specials, but describe what their day might look like.
Yeah, so every teacher does it a little differently, but for the most part, most kindergarten classes are going to start out with a morning meeting. We talk about calendar. We might do a 30-second dance party. We get to share a little bit about ourselves every morning to know each other a little bit better. And then we're going to move into our big curriculums. We're going to move into literacy, and it typically looks about 15 minutes of instruction or work time. And then we're going to have another 30-second dance party, or we might throw a Go Noodle in there, do some stretches, get up and move around. We don't want our kindergartners sitting in their seats for 6 hours a day. It's just not practical, and we know that they don't learn when they're having to do that. So we like to get them up and out of their seats as much as possible. And then, like you were saying, they have 45 minutes of specials every day. So that can look like library class or art or music or PE. And then we also have a 30-minute lunch recess, 30 minutes for lunch, and then at least another 15-minute recess break as well.
So can you tell me about how the day ends typically?
Yeah, so at the end of every day, kindergartners get to have 1 hour of instructional playtime. And instructional playtime can be called a bunch of different things. It can be called choice time or plan, do, review. But basically what it means is the students get to make a choice. They get to plan out their decision of what they would like to play with. And then for an hour, they get to play with that choice. And at the end of that hour, we all come back together. We talk about how that choice went, whether they liked it, whether they would like to change for next time, what went well, what didn't go well. And it's an hour of the day where the students get to decide everything that they're doing during that hour. And it really helps build confidence in those kids.
So builds confidence, and do they like that time?
Oh, it's the most liked time of the day. Ask any kindergartner. We have a fun little video later, and choice time comes up a lot as their favorite part of the day.
I sure wish I had choice time in my work day. So next up, we want to talk a little bit about recess. So kind of tell so first of all, we see this young lady in a mask. So current guidance requires us to have masks on our kids during recess. And I know there's talk in the news about changing the mask requirement, and we'll change it once we're approved through the Washington Department of Health. But how are the kids doing with masks at recess? And then just kind of describe what recess is like for a kindergartner.
Yeah, so recess for kindergarten is 30 minutes if it's our lunch recess, or 15 minutes if it's an additional recess. The kids get to go out, they get to play on a variety of equipment. There's something for everyone. And what I have found at recess is it's the biggest time for social interaction. It's where the kids build the bonds with each other. They get to make up games, they get to make the rules, and they get to sort of make deals with each other and negotiate those rules. And it's really awesome to watch them sort of find themselves in their peer interaction. And as far as the masks go, the kids have done wonderful, especially in the winter. They almost kind of liked it because it kept their face warm. In the summer, they get a little more hot. And so what we do is we just have them stay somewhere where they're socially distant, and they're able to take that mask break for as long as they need.
So we meet individual kids' needs as they arise. That's great. So the Department of Agriculture has approved for a second year in a row a free lunch program for all. Can you describe what lunch is like, and kind of what not only what the lunch time is like for our students, but also what is lunch? I mean, what's in it?
Yeah, so we are doing lunches in the classroom this year, and I'm not sure what next year will look like, but it's been kind of fun to have them in the classroom because we get to have a lot of personal conversations. The students get 30 minutes for lunch. Besides choice time, this is probably their second favorite time of the day. They love our school lunches. One of the options that they love is the easy pizza box, because they feel like they're getting a pizza Lunchable, and they get to build their own pizza, which is very fun for kindergartners. This is also another time for them to have a mask break, because we have them socially distant in the classroom so that we are able to eat without our masks on.
And lunch is a specified, I think minimum 20 minutes, and this year it's been 30 minutes to ensure kids have enough time to eat, correct?
Yeah, to ensure they have enough time to eat. And also it allows us to get really good hand washing. So when in kindergarten, what we do is the kids line up, they get 2 pumps of soap and then go to the end of the line. And when they come back to the sink, that's their time to rinse. So it really makes sure that everybody gets that good, at least 20 seconds, if not more time, to scrub their hands.
Great plan. So the next thing is how does a family prepare? What do parents need to know to prepare their child, and how do parents prepare for kindergarten? Because sometimes parents aren't prepared for their kids to go off to school.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that we have found is most helpful in preparing kids for kindergarten is making sure that they are able to take care of their own needs. So, whether that's making sure they can button their own pants when they go to the bathroom, or unzipping their jacket, or being able to open all of the items that are in their lunches, their snacks, their water bottles, and being able to communicate those needs with the teacher. So, if they need to go to the bathroom, let them know that it's okay to raise their hand or to ask the teacher. Communicate those needs with us so that we can better help your child. And as far as the parents, open communication with your school and your teacher is going to be key. It will make you feel so much more comfortable. We all just want what is best for your student, and any way we can help you get there, that's what we're going to want to do.
All right. So the other thing, we have kind of a list of things that parents can do to help prepare their children for kindergarten. So Samantha, you and I will kind of go through some things that are kind of not in print, so to speak, but in the physical world, the fine motor and gross motor, what does it look like at home?
Yeah, so one way to best prepare your student physically for kindergarten is just getting them exposed to holding a pencil and holding some scissors, and beginning to write their name or beginning to look at the letters that are in their name can be really helpful. And trying to walk, in a straight line would be super helpful, but I know that that's not always easy to replicate at home.
And then you get on an annual basis, you get students that are just learning their letters to students that probably already know how to read. So intellectually, what are the things parents really should expect when their kindergartner starts school, and how can they prepare them there?
Yeah, so all of the things that are up there are going to be explicitly taught in kindergarten. We're going to teach letters, we're going to teach numbers, we're going to teach how to write their names. But getting them that early exposure, if you're in the car and you're on your way to the grocery store, point out letters that you see on street signs. When you get to the grocery store, point out letters you see on boxes. Pointing out those letters, pointing out what sounds those letters might make, looking at numbers, just exposing them to those sort of things is going to help them feel more comfortable and more confident when we start talking about it in the classroom. And if your child is already above and beyond, make sure you talk with your teacher about ways that we can extend that learning, because I'm sure we all have ideas about how we can go, above and meet them at their level.
Okay, and then the social and emotional, those kind of go hand in hand. How would you prepare a kindergartner to really be ready to be away from mom and dad for 6 hours a day?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big ways to prepare your kid emotionally is to make sure that they are able to identify some of those big feelings. Feelings like sad, happy, nervous, excited, scared, frustrated. Those are big words that we use in kindergarten a lot. And if a student is able to communicate how they're feeling with their teacher, the teacher is going to be able to help that student even more. And if they're able to communicate that with their teacher, they're going to be able to communicate that with their peers as well. And it's going to help them, if they're having any kind of social interactions with the other students.
Okay, so parents and those that are in this live virtual session, I know I've been watching a lot of questions go by on the right hand side of my screen, and I know you're going to have some more questions that we'd like to answer here in a few minutes. But first, we'd like to hear from the experts. So we have a little video from the experts on what kindergarten is all about.
My advice is keep your hands and feet to yourself, and don't be mean to other kids that are new and old to the school. Don't.
Look, it looks like it was a good video, but it looks like some folks had trouble with it on their end of the cast. So hopefully we'll be able to post this cast up later, so you'll be able to access that.
It's very
So,
cute.
Samantha, what are the biggest worries about that you hear from families about kindergartners starting school?
One of the biggest worries that we always hear is parents just want to make sure that their student is safe and that their student is comfortable. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure you're keeping that open communication with your teacher and with your school. And at those first 3 days, those connection meetings, make sure you bring the questions you have with you. It always happens. They come with, all these ideas in their head, all these questions they have, and then the moment we walk in the door, they're gone. So write those questions down, bring them in. We'd love to answer them. We want you and your student to feel as comfortable as possible.
Great advice. What about the safety of my, if I'm speaking as a parent, what about the safety of my student? How do I know that they're going to get on the bus and get home safely?
Yeah, so I know all schools look a little bit different, but I can speak to Crescent Harbor. If your student is going to take the bus, our kindergartners are picked up by a paraeducator from the kindergarten classrooms. They are separated into their bus lines by their bus tags. So each kindergartner who is on a bus has a tag that will go on their backpack to ensure that they don't ever get on the wrong bus. They're walked down to the gym, which we call the bus room at the end of the day, and they are made sure that they're in their right lines. Each line has a teacher responsible, and then that teacher walks that group all the way out to the bus. So from the moment they leave the classroom to the moment they get on their bus, there is a teacher with them. They are never by themselves.
And so parents have to be somewhat patient as teachers and paras get to know them so they can deliver the right child to the right parent.
Oh, absolutely. And for kindergarten pickup, it's always a little hectic at the beginning, but the kinks get worked out. And that's why those connection meetings are so nice at the beginning of the year too. It's because we can get to learn your faces and it's easier for us to do dismissal at the end of the day.
So Crystal has a question. Will school go back to the original start time of 9 a.m. in the fall? Well, that is currently our plan. Our plan is that school will look like it has in years past. For the fall, we believe we'll be in 5-day sessions and going full days because we know that's best for kids. We know that's best for education in general. So we're really looking forward to being back to normal. I would say, Samantha, you've had a very tough year as far as preparing digital and in-person lessons all year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for kindergarten, digital can be so difficult. So we are all really looking forward to getting those little guys back in our classroom.
Let's see. Will they be going 5 days or just 4 like they are now? Ashley, the plan currently is that we're going to be back to 5 days a week, full day. We are talking about rather than having an early release Monday, having a late start Wednesday. So that'll shorten Wednesday by an hour. What that does, we know that shortened days are a challenge for parents on either end of the day. One of the pluses for that is kind of at the secondary level, it gives our older kids one day to sleep in, and it has our teachers a little bit more fresh in the morning for professional development. Is there anything else about the day in the life of a kindergartner that you might add to what you've already talked about?
I mean, day in the life of a kindergartner, they have a pretty fun day. They get to do a lot of moving, a lot of grooving. I always have students that are hesitant to dance at the beginning of the year, but come October, I always have a full classroom of dancers, and it's really fun to see them open up like that.
Okay. What about oh wait, can students bring their own lunch? So I'll let you field that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Students are welcome to bring their own lunch. The free and reduced lunch program sounds like it's being extended through the end of next year, which is awesome. It's a great resource for our families. But yeah, if students want to bring their own lunch, they're more than welcome to.
And then as far as those first 2 days go, the other question parents might have is a little bit about WA Kids. Can you explain what that is and kind of how you manage that?
Sure. So when the state went to full day kindergarten, they really wanted to know how our preschools and our daycares and our parents and families were preparing their students for kindergarten. So Walk Kids is an assessment that takes place through the end of October. And most of the times the students don't even know that we're assessing them, but it assesses the whole child. So we don't just look at them and how they're doing with their letters or their sounds and their numbers. We look at them also with how they're interacting with their peers. And we also look at them physically. Are they able to move about the classroom? Are they able to learn and recognize our routines? Are they able to play cooperatively? So we assess the whole child, we send that off to the state, and I don't know what happens with it from there, but it's a pretty easy assessment. And like I said, the students often don't even know we're doing it.
So Ashley asks, will they get to go on field trips next year? I know this year they were not able to. Is there a typical annual kindergarten field trip that we do?
So our typical field trips that we usually take a trip to the fire department about middle of the year. And then sometimes we do a beach walk because Crescent Harbor is so close to the beach at the end of the year. We weren't able to do those this year. Hopefully we get those back next year. They're super fun. So, yeah, keeping them crossed.
You know, Ashley,
they don't happen until the end of the year just because we're trying to get those routines in place. So hopefully that buys us some good time.
Ashley, our hope is to get back to normal. You know, none of us have enjoyed the pandemic, and it is really our hope that we get to a place where life looks a lot more normal than it even does today. And it feels so much better today than it did, 4 or 5 months ago. So we're with you. So what is the typical class size?
My class sizes range every year. I've had as low as 19, and I this year have 23.
Desi, thank you for that question. And we're trying to maintain that class size. The other thing you should know is we had a drop in enrollment this year, but we're putting our teaching staff in place the same size of a teaching staff as the 1920 school year. So our hope is to hold class size down so that we can keep safety measures in place and be back. I mean, our goal is 5 days a week. Jessica asks, when will we know that what COVID restrictions and implementations will be in effect for next year? Jessica, if you had asked me what they were going to be in May of 2020 for what we were facing in the fall of 2020, I would not have known. We take it day by day. If you're a news watcher at all, which I am, you know that things are changing almost weekly. So we will be updating and posting probably beginning in mid-August to let people know what to expect in the start of school. Crystal asks, will parents be able to volunteer? I would say that is certainly our hope. We love having volunteers. I think they've been very much missed this year. I know the kids love to see volunteers in the schools. So I don't know what the guidelines would be, but if you plan on volunteering, what I would ask and is probably be a good idea to get vaccinated so you're ready for that. Oh, here was another one. When will we have access to the supply list for what they need in class? So we handle supplies a couple ways. You're welcome to buy supplies. You certainly will want to have some supplies at home for your children, but we also supply the supplies. So each child will have a set of supplies in their desk on the first day. And Samantha, tell me about that setup.
Yeah, so we supply basically everything that you need at Crescent Harbor. I can only speak for that school, but when your student comes in, they'll have their own pencil box, they'll have their own crayons, they'll have their own pencils, scissors, glue, math toolkit, they'll have notebooks, they'll have folders, this year we even supplied backpacks and water bottles. I'm not sure if we're extending that to next year, but we try to take care of as many needs as you have just to make it as easy as we can on the families.
Yeah, and this is part of our levy promise that, because we have community support through the levy, we are using some of those dollars to provide the supplies for our kids. Backpacks, I'm not sure. They're a little big on the little people, so they may not be the best fit. And what we found was parents really like to get that special backpack for their children. Will we be able to join the PTA? Not only will you be able to join the PTA, it is strongly encouraged. The principals love to have you in PTA. And so often the functions of a school or of a PTA are what help a school feel welcoming and pleasant for our kids. Gosh, if you're watching this video, everybody sign up for PTA. You agree, Samantha?
Absolutely. I love our PTA. They do so many fun things for the students and the staff. They're incredible.
So Rochelle asks, will the children be using Chromebooks next year? You want to talk about that one? And I have a little to add.
Sure. So in kindergarten, what we have found is that the students aren't quite there to be able to use the Chromebooks all by themselves. So I know at least within my own team, I'm not sure how often kindergartners will need Chromebooks next year. But if they are being provided for all of the families, then kindergarten will be absolutely included in that.
And they Chromebooks will be supplied. It's a one-to-one expectation in the state of Washington. We're having our elementary students give back their Chromebooks because they're going to get newer Chromebooks because the ones they have are starting to get tired. So we're going to get going on wrapping up. So Samantha, do you have any closing advice for our families or our kids?
You know, my advice to all you families who have kindergartners coming in next year is just start exposing them to things that you think you are nervous about. So if you're nervous about them not being able to meet their needs, start exposing them to that. Start teaching them ways to address those needs. If you're nervous about them not knowing their letters, just start that exposure. We will be teaching it explicitly, but it'll make them feel more confident and it'll make you feel more confident. And we, like I said before, we want what's best for your students. So please be in open communication with us about anything that is going to make you feel better.
I think if Samantha were my child's teacher, I'd be very excited. It's clear that she would very much love my child. And I want to thank her for participating with me on this, I would say podcast, but it's a video cast. The thing I want parents to know is that when you enroll, we will, we would like you to do it as quick as possible, but we are going to, I got to find the focal point. We are going to send you this book the night before kindergarten. And, you know, when you have a kindergartner, this one might tear you up. So be ready. But this is a great book to read with your children before school starts. You can do it over and over again, and they'll appreciate the experience. And again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We hope you got your questions answered. If you didn't get your questions answered, please reach out to your the school, your home school, and principals or our secretary at those buildings will get back to you because we want to make sure that you're comfortable and feel welcome in our schools starting in the fall. And with that, I'm going to sign off and welcome to the Oak Harbor Public Schools family.